Promising Young Woman is hands down one of my favorite films of the past year. It is an edge-of-your-seat thriller that takes you on a roller coaster of emotions. The movie deals heavily with depression, recovery, and the repercussions of sexual assault. This film was Emerald Fennell's feature-length directorial and writing debut, and she exceeded expectations. The film won Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars and was nominated in 4 other categories, including Best Picture and Actress in a Leading Role. In my opinion, Carey Mulligan gives one of the best female performances in recent memory in her role as Cassie. So, without further ado, let's take a look at it. Promising Young Woman begins with the main character Cassie going home with men from nightclubs while extremely drunk. We soon find out she is faking being drunk to scare the men that try to take advantage of her. As the film goes on, we learn Cassie does this because her best friend Nina took her own life after being sexually assaulted in college, and the guy who did it was never charged once taken to court. Cassie feels defeated. She was not at the party the night of the assault and has made it her goal to stop men from taking advantage of women and get revenge on everyone that played a part in Nina not getting the justice she rightfully deserved. What Promising Young Woman does really well is having different characters represent what most people respond with when someone comes forward with a rape allegation. On screen are all of these characters' names, and we'll go through them one by one, breaking down what views they represent. First, we have the quote-unquote nice guys, who are the men who pick up Cassie from the clubs. When she reveals to them that she is in fact sober, they all normally say something along the lines of "you wanted to have sex with me," or "we were really hitting it off." Nina's assaulter, Al Monroe, also falls into this category. When Cassie confronts him at the end of the film, he said she was into it before getting shot down when she brings up the video that was filmed of the incident. Then there's Madison, who was a former classmate of Cassie and Nina's. Cassie hits her up after not talking to her for multiple years to get wine drunk and have lunch. At the end of the meal, Cassie asks her about the night of the incident. Madison responds by saying that it is hard to believe someone who has a reputation of sleeping around, and it is basically crying wolf. Up next is Dean Walker, who was assigned at the college to review the case when it was brought to her attention. Her main argument against taking action is she would have to ruin so many male students' lives if they took every allegation seriously. The cards quickly turn on her though when Cassie says she picked up the dean's daughter from high school and dropped her off with a group of boys that now live in the same apartment where Nina's assault took place. Dean Walker then breaks down and goes against everything she was preaching the previous few minutes and begs Cassie to tell her where she is because her daughter may not be safe. Fourth is the judge, who also represents the whole judicial system when it comes to assault cases. He defended Al Monroe and harassed Nina until she dropped the case so no charges would be pressed. Well, in this film, he shows remorse and wants nothing but to take back all the charges he had forced women to drop throughout his career. He represents how scummy and abusable the legal system is. They know what the truth is and choose to ignore it to help get guilty parties out of sticky legal situations. Finally, we have Ryan, who was present at the night of the party but did not directly partake in anything that happened. He was a witness though and argues that it was a party and there wasn't much he could do. Instead of stepping in and stopping what was going on, he just looked on from afar to distance himself from the situation. He is not directly involved, so he believes it is not his issue, even though he had the power to step in and stop this incident. These 5 characters represent the assaulters, the shamers, the deniers, the protectors, and the pacifists. Every group in their own way makes an already awful situation worse, just so they can justify to themselves that they accomplished all they could personally do. While I don't think Promising Young Woman has anything super profound or groundbreaking to say on its subject matter, it was nice to see how the film pokes a lot at the typical arguments that are used when cases like these happen in real life. It really shows how self-centered most people are and that they don't want to reflect on what repercussions their actions may have, even if they weren't directly involved with the initial situation. It is super easy just to say blank needs to stop and end the conversation without considering how we can all help in different ways, even if it is just supporting those affected by these negative situations. Another aspect of this movie that I really enjoy is Cassie's character arc. She is a person who is filled with never-ending sadness and is stuck in a loop, very similar to the 5 stages of grief. The 5 stages of grief is a model that was created by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She claims that the 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Cassie's loop seems to be focused on the 3 middle stages. She is angry at all men who are predators, along with others directly involved with Nina's mental spiral. She is also constantly at an inner battle with herself, knowing she could have gone to the party that night with Nina, and none of this would have even happened. Then she hits a super depressive state and starts the loop all over again. While everyone around her is moving on, her parents, Nina's mom, and her former classmates, she feels like she is the only one who cares enough and cannot accept the passing of Nina. I feel this is a very accurate representation of someone struggling heavily with the loss of a loved one and makes us connect deeply with Cassie's pain. I once again have to applaud Carey Mulligan for giving an amazing performance in this movie. She literally takes over any scene she is in and is super expressive with all the emotions that Cassie is feeling. The one part of the film where we really get to see Cassie break out of this loop is when she gets reintroduced to Ryan and falls in love with him. We slowly start to see her emerge into the acceptance stage of grief as she has someone to fall back on and grow with to try to put her past behind her. This is clearly portrayed as her one shot of happiness with someone, as she has struggled with the idea of relationship and men since dropping out of college. Cassie has a lot of trust with Ryan, and that is enough to make her want to look forward to a brighter future. Then it all comes crumbling down when Cassie finds out Ryan was present at the party Nina's assault took place at. She completely breaks into a manic episode and drops right back into the loop of anger that has been pulling her down for so many years. Cassie comes to the conclusion that what happened to her best friend will always haunt her. The only thing that will ever give her comfort is knowing that the man that inflicted so much pain into her and Nina's life must be destroyed. That brings us to the conclusion of this movie, in which I have a few things I want to talk about. While I adore this movie, I still have a lot of conflicting feelings on how the story wraps up. For those of you who may not have seen the film, let me give you a quick rundown, and then I'll talk about what I like about the ending and the part that bothers me. Madison finds one of her old phones that has a video of Nina's assault on it. She gives the phone to Cassie, who watches it, and finds out Ryan witnessed it happen and didn't do anything to stop it. Cassie then confronts Ryan at work, where she demands the address to Al Monroe's bachelor party, or she will send the video to all of Ryan's coworkers, getting him fired. Cassie goes to the bachelor party dressed up as a stripper nurse and pours alcohol with drugs in it into the mouths of all the guys attending the party. Cassie then takes Al upstairs, where she handcuffs him to a bed and tells him who she is. She then gets out a knife with the intent to carve Nina's name all over his body. Al then breaks out of one of the handcuffs and suffocates Cassie to death with a pillow. The next morning, Al and one of his friends burn her body. Fast forward to Al's wedding, we learn that Cassie sent the phone with the video on it and a note to the judge we saw earlier in the film explaining everything she planned to do just in case she turned up missing. The cops show up to the wedding and arrest Al for the murder of Cassie. As this is all going down, Ryan gets scheduled texts from Cassie saying, "You didn't think this was the end, did you?" We see a shot of Al being hauled off by the cops as the last text pops up on Ryan's phone that says, "Love, Cassie and Nina." The one thing I honestly love about the ending of the film is Cassie's death. While it would have been great to see her enact revenge and live to see it all play out, I view Cassie dying as this bittersweet conclusion to the story. Cassie has clearly been depressed for the majority of the film. A piece of her has always been missing ever since Nina took her own life, and I don't think Cassie was ever going to recover. Her one shot at feeling better in Ryan backfired at her and just ended up digging up even more pain than she had at the beginning of the film. Cassie's mind is finally at rest, and she's still got her revenge in the end. Even though we as an audience feel different, she will no longer have to suffer every day wondering why she wasn't able to help her best friend. I just think it was overall a really good twist ending that really makes sense for the character of Cassie. The one thing that upsets me about the ending, though, is the scheduled text Ryan gets at the wedding from Cassie. I completely get why she sent the phone with the note to the judge just in case this worst case scenario happened to her, but I don't get what the texts accomplish, and they took me out of this film that overall felt very grounded in reality throughout. I guess I just don't know why Cassie would schedule those texts when she had the intent of surviving the night of the bachelor party. It was very clear that she didn't have the intention of dying going there, so planning so far ahead to schedule texts to Ryan just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Especially with how pissed she was at Ryan, I don't think why she would ever want to converse with him ever again. I guess the text gives some closure to Ryan's character arc and gives us the sense of, aha, she stuck it to them when the final text pops up on screen and Al is getting hauled off. But I personally feel like it would have been much better if the texts weren't sent and we just got a shot of Ryan smiling and nodding during the final scene. That would show that Ryan is glad Cassie got her revenge and he is proud of her. If they wanted an ending to be more personal, they could have had Cassie give Ryan something when they were dating, and he could have been holding on to it in the final shot as well. I just feel an ending like that would have been a lot more subtle and still gotten the point across without the cheesy text message aspect. Overall though, this is just a small nitpick I have with the film, and I still enjoy it so much, and I don't really mind its current conclusion. Promising Young Woman is a movie that left a large impact on me. It is a wonderfully crafted story with great performances all around. The movie honestly gets better every time I rewatch it. It's real, truthful, funny, shocking, and sad all at the same time. It works great as a revenge thriller, but also holds enough weight within its script to send a powerful message. All this movie is really trying to say is, Life isn't always beautiful. It is sometimes extremely painful and difficult. What you do can affect others, and don't be shocked when life comes back and gets its well-deserved revenge. Thank you for checking out my review of Promising Young Woman. If you liked it, hitting that subscribe button, dropping a like, and leaving a comment goes a long way in helping me out. Have a good one, everybody.